Hey there, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and thank you so much for tuning into our YouTube channel today. We are going to be going through two practice test questions that have to do with the SLLA 6990, specifically the first two content categories. That's strategic leadership and instructional leadership. So glad you tuned in today. Let's get started. Okay, so let's break down these two content categories from the SLLA 6990. Strategic leadership is the first content category of the test, and you're going to get about 20 questions from this content category. Okay. Instructional leadership is the largest content category of the exam, and you're going to get around 27 questions for this particular section of the exam. Okay. They both kind of have to do with the same thing. You're going to see a lot of questions that have to do with, conducting a needs assessment and analyzing data and making data-driven decisions and all of that. But these two content categories are also pervasive throughout the entire test because these two concepts are what you do in every aspect of leadership. So you will see questions that might be assigned to a different content category, but have a little bit of these two categories in it. All right, so let's take a look at an example question. I just wrote this question this morning, and I'm kind of proud of it because it's a good question. It assesses several different things, and it shows a pattern about this exam that I want you to get to know as you work through these problems. But remember what I say every time I do one of these tutorials. Where do we start when we're talking about a test question? Do we start here and read from top to bottom, or do we start at the answer choices? Well, we start at the answer choices because that's going to help us eliminate things and understand what we're talking about. Always start with the answer choices, especially when you see an item that has, a lot of text here in the front and a lot of text for the answer choices. You're going to want to start with the answer choices and work backwards. So let's go with A. Review teachers' lesson plans to see if they are aligned to the state standards and the program's objectives. Okay, so I think lesson plans is a good word, alignment is a good word, state standards is a good word, and objectives is a good word. Remember, we always want to be on the lookout for those good words in the answer choices. We always want to look for words like aligned to the state standards and things meeting programs' objectives. Those things are good words in an answer choice. So I'm going to keep A. B, evaluate self-reflection data submitted by the teachers after 3 weeks of implementing the new math program. Well, self-reflection is also kind of a good word. Now, it's not as good as A, so A is my top contender here, but B is still good, so I'm not going to eliminate it. C, observe the teacher's professional learning community meeting while teachers share best practices. Well, look, professional learning community is a good word, and so is, best practices. So let's keep going. I can't really eliminate anything. And D, conduct regular walkthroughs to observe teachers' classroom implementation of the new program. Oh, well, walkthroughs is also a good word. So in this case, we're looking at the answer choices like I always say to do, but it's not really helping us. Sometimes there will be a glaring bad answer that we can eliminate or a really good answer that we can grab. Right now, I would say A and D are in the running for the best answers, but I don't know yet. Let's take a look at the question. So teachers at XYZ school are implementing a newly adopted district-approved math program. How can the school leader most effectively, that's key, how can the leader most effectively assess the competency of the math department teachers who have just started using the program? Okay, so this is where you may say, well, Dr. Jasper, all of these answer choices look like good answer choices to me. How is a leader going to effectively assess teachers' implementation? Well, are we going to look at lesson plans? For sure. That's going to be the first step, right? Look at the lesson plans and make sure that they're even using the program and that they're aligning their instruction to the state standards, all right? And then self-reflection data, well, good teachers self-reflect, right? When they implement programs, good teachers, good leaders use self-reflection as a daily practice, or maybe not daily, regular practice, we should say. And then, of course, observing teachers' professional learning community. Well, the professional learning community could have to do with implementing this new math program. And then conduct regular walkthroughs. Of course, we're going to want to see the practice in action. So let me go back and look at this question and figure out exactly what it's asking me. How can the school leader most effectively assess the competency of the teachers, of the math department teachers. So we're trying to assess how well they're implementing the program. Can I assess how well someone is teaching a program or implementing a program simply by looking at his or her lesson plans? No. I can see that they may have decided to plan for that, but I can't really see them execute the lesson. So that's where A becomes not such a good answer. Let's go with B. Evaluate self-reflection data. Well, does self-reflection data really assess competency? No, self-reflection data, reflects how a teacher is feeling. And while that's important, we're looking at the competency of the math department teachers to implement the program, how well they implement the program. And self-reflection, they may think they're doing a great job. Hey, I implemented this program, everybody loves it, everybody's doing great, when really maybe that's not happening. Or they might feel like they're a total failure and say, oh, I'm not doing very well implementing this program, while really the students are enjoying it and doing a good job. So self-reflection may not be the best bet here in terms of competency, okay? Self-reflection measures attitudes and how people feel. And it's still important, but this is a different type of question. And then observe the teacher's professional learning communities. Well, again, PLCs are awesome. That's what we call professional learning communities, PLCs, if you're new to the game. And of course we want to do PLCs, but a group of teachers together talking about a program, is that going to assess their competency in implementing the program? Probably not. D, conduct regular walkthroughs to observe teachers' classroom implementation. The only way you're going to know if teachers are implementing this effectively is to get into the classroom. Walkthroughs are really, really, really important on this test and in life as a school leader. You can't just go on what you think. You've got to get in and look at the teacher. I'll give you an example. When I became an assistant principal, I worked at a school, and there were some teachers in the school that I was like, yeah, they're probably not that good of a teacher. He seems kind of like, whatever. I would think that in my mind. I certainly wouldn't say it. And I had the opportunity to go in and observe these teachers conduct walkthroughs, and I was blown away. Like, I had no idea how good these teachers were until I went in and saw them in action. So walkthroughs are the only way to really observe whether or not a teacher is doing the job. You still have to look at all this other stuff. It's a piece of the puzzle. But if you want to see implementation and you want to see competency of the teacher, implementing the program, you got to go in and conduct those walkthroughs, get in the classroom. And that's data collection. That is 100% data collection. You are grabbing observation data and then you're writing that down and maybe, talking to the teacher about it and all of that. So that is for sure data collection. So D is going to be the best answer choice for this question. And just so you know, I adapted this question when I wrote it from the SLLA 6990 study companion. There's a question in the back of that document that was pretty good, but I made this one a little bit more challenging, a little bit harder, but it is directly aligned to the exam. And I will tell you, I've also seen a question very similar to this for the FEELI. So pay attention. Walkthroughs are just a good thing to think about when you're trying to assess teacher performance. I mean, that's the only way to do it, but you will see questions like this on the exam. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to figure out where that particular question that we just talked about would fit in the SLLA 6990 content categories and then their subcategories. So if I were going to put that question somewhere, I would definitely put it in instructional leadership, because you're going to be observing the instruction and then providing feedback to the teacher about the program. And I would probably put it under number 2 of that main section. And in number 2, it says, understands how to use data to provide ongoing feedback that improves the practice. So again, you're looking at the practice of teaching when you conduct those walkthroughs, and then you're going to use that data that you collect to go over it with the teacher and come up with some even better ways that the teacher could implement that practice. And then underneath it, in this letter A here, this is also very important, develops a process to provide actionable feedback. Actionable meaning you're in the action and and the teacher's in the action, and it's all happening. It's like action research, actionable feedback, so that the teacher can, apply what you're talking about in a timely manner. And then, of course, we have the word classroom walkthroughs here. So remember, if it's in the study companion, it's probably a good word. So you want to be on the lookout for it in an answer choice. And then it says to increase teacher effectiveness. Well, effectiveness is teacher's competency, right? If you're competent, then you know what you're doing. So when we're evaluating teachers' competency, we are conducting these walkthroughs. So that's where I would stick this question, is under instructional leadership, which is content category number 2. And then I would throw it under the subcategory number 2 in the test specifications. Okay, so I said I would do 2 questions today. So here's our second question. Remember, we do not want to start up here. We want to start at the answer choices, because that'll help us get a feel of what's going on in the question. Okay, so let's do it. Starting with A. Have another assistant principal act as the new leader's mentor and provide necessary training and support. B. Outline roles and responsibilities for the new leader and expect the new leader to follow through on expectations. That right away jumps out at me as kind of negative. It doesn't seem very supportive. I'm going to cross it off for now because it sounds punitive. Expecting somebody to deliver on expectations feels a little punitive. C, spend a few days working alongside the new leader and provide feedback when necessary. And D, have the new leader shadow the principal for a week to understand the roles of the job. Okay, so just by reading the answer choices, I feel like this is about a new leader, not about teachers now. We're talking about new leaders in the building, and probably a way to support new leaders coming into the building. So you're not just going to help new teachers, you're going to be helping new leaders as well. So I can't really do much besides eliminate B. Let's go up to the top here and start reading and see what else we can discern from the question. A principal has just hired a new assistant principal, so there's the new leader right there, for the upcoming school year. The new hire will need training and support over the summer to prepare for the fall. So we hired the new assistant principal. The new assistant principal is going to train over the summer and get ready to go in the fall. However, the principal is concerned that she will be unable to provide the support the new leader needs while also completing her duties as principal and getting the school ready for the fall semester. So the principal can't do everything. She has a lot going on, but also wants to make sure this new assistant principal is trained properly. How can the principal effectively support this new leader while also fulfilling her commitments to the school? Okay, so I would throw this question under what I like to call, and of course I didn't make it up, succession management. Okay, almost on any leadership exam, there will be some sort of question, or questions really, that have to do with your ability to train people who are coming up behind you. And if you're a principal or assistant principal, you have to be on the lookout for those really good people in the building who are going to make great leaders. Find them, train them, inspire them to go further, inspire them to train new leaders, and on it goes. Now, in this case, the principal is slammed. She has a lot going on for the fall semester. And to take time away from that and train a new employee would actually be bad for the school. You have to balance what you should and should not be doing. And sometimes it's hard because you sometimes just want to do everything yourself. I know a lot of you are like that. But it's very important that you use the staff, the leadership, and the resources in the building and empower people to also help in training new leaders. And in this case, A is going to be the best answer, because not only are you providing the mentorship to the new leader through the other assistant principal, but you're giving this assistant principal an opportunity to lead and to share his or her practice with the new leader. So that's why A is the best answer choice here. All right, so let's take a look at where I would place that question in the test specifications. So I would put this under content category 1 for strategic leadership. And I would also throw it under number 6 here. Knows how to develop the capacity of faculty and staff. When we talk about building capacity, we're talking about, preparing new leaders, preparing new teachers, giving those people the tools and the resources they need and the opportunities they need to build the skills they need to become leaders and teacher leaders and all of that. So that's the main part. And then underneath that definitely hits this question, provide support and opportunities for teacher leadership. Now, in this case, it's leadership, right? Assistant principal to another assistant principal, but it's still providing support and opportunities. And then B, provide support and opportunities for leadership from other members. You are expecting that new assistant principal to learn from the other assistant principal who's been here a little bit longer. So you're providing opportunities for both. It could also fall under, and I find this to be kind of an interesting category under strategic leadership. Number 7, understands how to promote a healthy work-life balance for self and others. Delegating properly will help you get that work balance that you need, and then you're modeling that behavior. If you show your new assistant principals or your leadership team or your teachers who are around you how to delegate properly and how to, build capacity in the building, they will pick up on that and they will be able to empower others to do the same. So it supports that. So those are the 2 places where I would throw this particular question. And remember, I adapted this question straight from a question I saw on the 6990 Study Companion, and you will see questions just like this on the Feely. So pay attention to this particular type of question.